Tom Vasel. Welcome to Lookback. This is where I go back a year, 5 years, and 10 years ago and talk about the reviews I did then, comparing them to now. So a year ago, I took a look at Hoagie. This was a pretty awful game about making a hoagie, which is an amazing theme, making the sandwich, but it's the lowest of the low. Draw good cards for yourself, play bad cards on other people. Abracazam. This is a game where you're like using a magic wand to make, different symbols, and other people are trying to figure out what it is. Now, that's the whole game. There's more to it, convoluted. Maybe some Harry Potter fans would like this kind of style. I just didn't find it very interesting. Costume Party Assassins sounds super interesting, where you have a bunch of these meeples and you're trying to eliminate each other. The problem is this game has been done very well before. Rumble in the house, Rumble in the dungeon. And the components here were the meeples. It's hard to figure out which one is which. I found it to be very problematic. Cranium Cadoo, another version of Cranium, basically I think aimed at kids, but it's just, again, fairly random in its scoring, which I thought was problematic. Lifestyle. This is an okay game from Amigo, where you're trying to have a nice lifestyle, collect cards, but at the end of the day, it comes to rolling dice. And if you hate that, you're not going to like it because you roll dice to see if you accomplish different tasks. Arkham Horror 3rd Edition. I thought I would like this one more than I did. It's a interesting game. I like the 2nd edition a lot, but it was replaced for me by Eldritch Horror. And then Arkham Horror you think would fix that. And there are some really cool things. There's a really strong narrative in this game. But at the end of the day, I felt like too much of the game was playing itself, and I was more of a spectator than actually playing. Majolica, this one got a lot of love, a small little game from Japan about placing tiles. And I thought it was interesting, but just a little too convoluted for me to really enjoy it. Word Slam Family, this is a smaller version of Word Slam, a fun party game. Really great team versus team style game. Dire Wild, I was just talking to someone about this on the Dice Tower Cruise. Dire Wild, a game, it's a kind of a little bit of a deck building, form these monsters and stuff, these animals, and you put them together. A lot of really cool things. But you can definitely see the Kickstarter-ishness of the game, or whatever the term of that is, where has some rough edges and stuff. It could be great. It's good, very good, but you can tell that it was a independent production, but still worth one checking out. Muse Awakenings. It's a sequel to Muse. Muse is a great game. This is more of the same, but more of the same in this case is good. Crusaders Thy Will Be Done. This is a fairly lightish style game, compared to heavy Euro games. As you're moving across the board and placing things out. Really nice components from Tasty Minstrel. This is a solid game that you're like, I'm not really a big fan of the crusading theme, which I understand, but this game barely has that in it. It's kind of abstracted, and it's pretty fun. And Space Base emerges as Shy Pluto. This is a really good expansion for Space Base. It comes across as a campaign thing, but you can play through the quote-unquote campaign in about 3, 4, 5 games maybe. And then what it does is it just adds some cool extra stuff that you can add into Space Base. They're more like modules than a campaign. All right, 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I reviewed Tiny Epic Defenders and took a lot of flack for my review of it. I would like to say I stand by my review of it. I thought it was a very substandard, poor cooperative game that was very boring, themeless, and the tiny part is correct, but the epic part was not. But a lot of people do like this one, and they did make a 2nd edition of it a few years later, which I did not play. Dogs of War. This is a big, grandiose-looking game from CMON. The thing about this one is it has miniatures. It's not a miniatures game. This is a straight-up Euro game of control of different areas, and you're going to decide which side to fight on. Some really neat ideas in this one. This one got flown under the radar, but it's a solid game. Yu-Gi-Oh! Dice Masters. I still like Dice Masters a lot, which is why this one still gets a 7. But of all the Dice Masters set, this one I'm the least interested in, mostly because of the theme. Scoville, a fun game about peppers. I like hot peppers. I like the Scoville scale. This one is not really about peppers. It's about combining different colors and different things. But there's some pretty neat aspects of this game. Pretty Smash Up. I remember when they first made Smash Up, and the company told me that they were really excited about making Pretty Smash Up. It came a few years later. They needed this thing to be done there. But you have kittens and princesses. It was a solid one. Mostly fun because of the theme, but they made it good so that you would want to use zombie princesses or whatever. Camel Up. So I took a look at the original Camel Up 5 years ago, which I liked. I thought it was a little overrated at the time, but my opinion has certainly improved, although I will give a higher rating to the second edition. And then Dungeons & Dragons Dice Masters. I dropped this one too because I've come to the conclusion my favorite is Marvel because of theming. As a complete inside set, D&D Dice Masters is probably the best game of the various ones. But again, I still kind of prefer the Marvel superheroes. 10 years ago, I took a look at a bunch of small little games this week. One was Corporation. Many of these are from Nestor Games, print on demand. Corporation, about moving up in a board of directors game. Meh. I didn't like this one at all. Querney, which was kind of a checker style game, jumping over numbers. Also, bleh. Lords of Creation. This game originally came out in 1993. It's from Martin Wallace. And it's kind of like a battle style game. I just felt it to be a little convoluted and just very themeless and not a lot of fun. Some people do like it. Rebel Moon Defense. This is another one from Nestor Games. A two-player duel. It was okay. And Cowabunga. This is a card game that was fine. Has many names. I think the German name Fettnapf may be the one you heard of. But again, it's okay, but it was kind of forgettable. Then Pillars of the Earth Builders Duel. This is a good two-player game. That's very different than Pillars of the Earth, and it's a nice back and forth as you're trying to, you have like a grid of cards you're working. Again, this is one that flew under the radar, but one that I think is worth checking out. And then Mutton. Of the different games I played from Nestor, this one I thought was the best of the lot. It is a deduction-style game with the theme of wolf versus sheep. Certainly one worth checking out. Some interesting ideas in this. And those are the reviews I did 1, 5, and 10 years ago. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Look Back on the Dice Tower.